Facebook in another browser. Oh, there. Maybe.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey guys. I guess we're on live and recording now, huh?
We are. I can see it. Yeah.
Right. Hey, this is
Fascinating.
Ron Douglas, Elite Writers Lab. I'm here with Alice Seba. A special guest today, Deb Drum. What's up, Alice and Deb?
Not much. Hello.
All right.
Another great day.
Today, our special guest, Debbie, has been publishing books and digital products online since 2010. She makes a full-time income online by creating and marketing awesome content online. She does everything online. Loves helping authors and marketers get more exposure for their businesses, and she's a productivity junkie. What's a productivity junkie like? You just always productive and working?
No, I mean, any type of hacks that will make me work faster and smarter, I'm just like, I'd rather research that than do what I'm actually doing. Like, for instance, the other day, I wanted to see how I could speed up video playbacks, and I spent like an hour researching, and I found this awesome Chrome extension where you can literally double or even triple the speed. You can't really listen to triple the speed, but double the speed for any like Facebook or Twitter video that you just want to, speed through, and you can get it done in double the time. So I just love stuff like that. I thrive on it.
Awesome. Yeah, I know Debbie for a little over a year and a half, 2 years. I mean, we met. She's a fellow Long Islander, and she's at all the events. She's like a master networker. Everywhere I go, I see Debbie, and she's always hanging out and making contacts. So I want to be like her when I grow up.
It's so much fun just meeting like-minded people like the both of you, and I know that Alice and I hung out in the city and we rode the merry-go-round, so that was fun.
And
Tell us more about yourself. How did you get started in this business?
Yeah, so basically I think I got started like any regular person. Just I saw people that were making money from their pajamas, from their home, and I'm like, how is this even possible? Because at the time, 2010, I was traveling, I was doing outside sales and traveling about 80% of the time. And it was getting very old, going from trains and planes and automobiles, and I was gone Sunday through Thursday, and I absolutely hated it. It wasn't the life for me anymore. So I got on Google and I'm like, how do I make money online? And I found, all these gazillion ways that you can actually make money online, which, as you know, and that's why people get so tripped up, because there's so many ways to make money. You just have to pick one or two and focus on it and keep doing it and doing it and doing it until you succeed in it. And one of the first things that I succeeded in was publishing books. So I was like, all right, great, let me try this out. And I was working a full-time job, and I was publishing a book a week. I made it my goal to publish a book a week. And it was kind of nice because I was able to try stuff out, and I wasn't relying on 99-cent royalties to feed myself every day, because I had a good paying job at the same time. So I did that when I saw success in publishing, I then started developing products and helping other people do what I was doing, and solve a lot of problems when it comes to the issues that people face when they're publishing books.
And when you were starting, what type of books were you doing? Like, it was fiction, nonfiction?
Yeah. So everything was under a pen name. Like, I wasn't following any rules. Every book was just a made up name, and nothing was marketing, right? It was like, because, publishing in 2011 was like the wild, wild west. You didn't have to market anything. You just published and like you made sales, right? So, when I started, I was publishing mostly nonfiction books. Like, I made a ton of money on a book about hoarding, a book about jealousy. Like jealousy is a big topic that people buy, and so like hot niches like that. That's what I first started, and then I started publishing a little. I have 3 fiction books that I actually wrote myself in a niche that I will not reveal here because it's G-rated. And that actually still does well to this day. So so a little bit of both.
Yeah. And were you writing a book a week? Were you writing those?
Yeah, I was doing a combination of writing and outsourcing. And at the time when PLR was allowed, I was doing that as well. But I would never publish like PLR as is. I would always change it about, and that's what the bulk of my week was about. It was about changing the content to make it like 80% unique. And then the weekends were, what I was doing was I had like a whole system, nothing else outsourced. I was publishing to Kindle, I was publishing to CreateSpace, I was publishing to the iBookstore, the Nook. So everything I published was, put on all these different platforms, and I was seeing passive income from all the platforms, not just one, which which made me very successful with that.
And you were doing, it was just digital books, or you did print? Because
print books as well, just like with like black and white, very boring, but they would still sell as well.
So what do you think now? Like what, that's a few years ago. You said it was the Wild West, and it becomes a little more difficult. So what the mistakes do you find like people make with getting their books published or marketing them that they might want to avoid?
It's very, very different now, because going into writing a book, you shouldn't go into it lightly. It has to be very well thought out, because if it's not, if you make a mistake all the way from titling your book, the very most simplistic thing about publishing, but it's very, very important to the title, to the cover, and your content. Yes, it's very important, but you can't miss these important factors that you need to consider when you're thinking about the title of your book. So your dogs are barking, my dogs are barking. So it's a lot less here,
right? Housekeeper has arrived, so I'm muting myself.
Love it. I love it. So this is what happens when we're live, right? This is what happens. So, you have to be smart from the very, very beginning. And if you're not going to commit and go all in, whereas you're going to write the book, you're going to do all this stuff right, and then you're going to market it right and market yourself right, it's just not going to work. I tell people all the time, it's pointless to even do it if you aren't going to do it all the way. And so you better be really vested in the topic that you're writing about, and you should be thinking not just one book, but 5 books in, because that's where you're going to make your money. Like, you're not going to get rich on 99-cent royalties your whole entire life. I mean, you could get lucky, right, and sell 1 million copies, but that just doesn't happen with most people. And you have to consider the journey and not just that one book, because it's pointless. It's not even worth doing. You should just stop and go watch Netflix, because it's not going to happen, right? So that's the number one thing I see, is just not considering the whole entire journey and not committing and not going all in. Because going all in, well, what does that mean, right? That means that you're going to be writing your book, you're going to be going through the process. And we're not just talking about books, we're talking about anything, like products, whatever you're jumping into, right? Because it's all the same. It's no different. It's documenting your progress, right? It's, today I woke up and this is what I'm doing. You turn on the video camera and you're like, this is what I'm doing today. I'm writing a chapter and I'm trying to think about what the character's name is going to be. I'm kind of struggling about that. And that's what people want to see. They don't necessarily want to just see your promoted book when you're done and finished. They want to see the whole aspect of you going through it, succeeding, failing, and everything in between, right? And that's the new way of promoting books. I don't call it book marketing anymore. I call it author marketing, because when you're author marketing, then you're gaining fans. Then you're gaining super fans, and people aren't just buying your book to buy your book and read whatever it is you wrote. They're buying you.
Yeah, that's
right. And after kind of learning all this stuff about your journey, they feel like they're invested in that book already, and they sort of have to get it because everything that led up to it they already know about.
Exactly. And guess what? That is also how you become more likable inside of your book. So when somebody buys your book, again, book, product, whatever it is, all the same, you don't want them to just read it and then be like, oh, okay, later, Ron Douglas, later, Alice, never want to see you again. You have to, this is like another mistake. This is the second mistake, is that if you don't allow people to continue their journey with you inside of your book, then that's very wrong. So what you want to do is inside of your book, you want to link out, right, to all these other things that you have going on that you've done throughout the process of you writing that book, right? So what are the videos? What are the social media posts that got a lot of action? What are the Twitter, just anything that links you to other things, and you being human, and you being, showing the behind the scenes in your Instagram account. And that's why you need to create this persona. So it's not just like the books that I wrote, 5 years ago, who I was a mysterious author and I did absolutely no marketing. Fine, those make passive sales, but that's not going to make me rich, right? That's not going to grow a following. What's going to grow a following is you doing all these things to promote yourself, so that the next time that you publish a book, you're going to already have that likability, and you're going to already have that built-in audience that you can just tap into, and then you keep doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah, and when you have that audience too, it doesn't just limit you to books. You can sell them other stuff, recommendations, whether it's your products or affiliate links or things like that. If they like you, they're listening to you, they're going to take your advice and the things that you recommend to them.
Exactly. And that's, obviously another step in the process of, well, where and how can I generate even more money from my publishing? And that's how to do it. People are very, I don't know if the word is scared, or because growing, the word list building and book publishing, it's a scary thing, right? And the reason why that's so scary is because it's a very, it could be a very slow process, right? So if you're starting to list build inside of your book and you're not seeing a lot of progress, well, that could be something that says, ooh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But it's not supposed to be easy. And the more that you do, the more properties that you have out there that help you grow that list, and not just your book, that is what's going to catapult you and make that process a bit faster. Okay, so it's all that little stuff. And when I talk about marketing, it's not like, okay, let's put together this funnel and this campaign. It's literally like, where's my phone? Somewhere. It's like, turn on your phone, turn on the camera, and shoot a 2-minute video of what you're doing today. And if you do that 30 days consecutively, you have 30 videos that you can now tap into and grow, get traffic from. So now it's like, if we're talking about mistakes, let's talk about another one. It's putting Amazon on a pedestal. And Amazon is just one traffic source. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a beast, right? But it's just one traffic source. So you can't just like rely only on Amazon for your traffic to, that's the only place that I'm getting traffic. There's so many other places that you can tap into, that you have to tap into now to even be successful with growing your fan base and growing your audience, right? Not just book sales, but growing your audience. That's what you need to do.
Right.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. Like growing your audience, are you talking about building a social media following, building an email list? Like how do you follow up with that audience that you're building?
Yeah, so, ultimately you want people on that email list, right? That's the ultimate thing. But that doesn't have to be your strategy from the very beginning. So if you're doing these like little 2-minute videos just to get people to have some insight into your life, into your existence, into your work, you don't have to be like, subscribe to my list right now. Like you don't have to do that. You just have to play everything against one another, right? So if you're building up, what's nice about using platforms to build your audience, right? Both socially and with your email, right? You can use those platforms to help you market. So, and it's amazing how you can tap into this. So every time I publish a video on YouTube, my subscribers get an email that I just published a video on YouTube. Now, those people on my list, maybe some of them are, some of them aren't. They're just press subscribe, boom, and they get an email, right? Facebook Live. Using the Facebook platform to say, hey guys, Debbie Drum is live right now, right? And so you're using these big giant monsters to do the work for you, okay? And then over time, you want to turn those social links into, ultimately email links, but we're also using these gorillas to do the marketing for us. So if you ask a good question like, so what are you trying to do? Well, you can have different strategies. So if you're on YouTube, hit subscribe. If you have a lead page, opt in. It could be different strategies for all of them, and you could, play with each one and see which one does the best for you.
So what are some tips that you can give for kind of optimizing your videos? So say if you were doing a video every day, are you trying to optimize for keywords? Or are you trying to just, tell a story and get viral traffic from that story? Or how are you trying to actually get ongoing traffic from that video?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. And, there are different strategies for each of those things. I would say people, and myself included, we get overwhelmed, right? We sit there and we're like, oh my God, what should I title my video? Oh my God, where should I post my video to after I do it? We worry about all these different things, but it's first about building the momentum and actually having the strategy and doing something consistent for a period of time. So if somebody is just starting out, maybe with video, it's not about the titling. It's about having that set, consistent schedule of doing it every day and then gaining your traction from there. And then you start looking back at what you're doing. You're like, wow, this topic got a lot of likes, or this topic had the most views for the longest amount of time. Then you start working with the data that you already have and then using it to your advantage for what you create later. And then guess what happens when you start to do this? You start to get good at titling, because now you're like, wow, you start to look into what's the best strategies of titling my video. Like for me, I do a lot of video, but I do YouTube live streaming, which ranks my videos very, very quickly. And so I was like, you just get obsessed with things that start to work. So it's first about doing. For me, this a lot people might say something else, but for me, it's like have like a 30-day schedule of getting the work done, and then you start building on those skills, and then naturally you just get better and better at the other overwhelming stuff.
I like that, because I know people want to have all the answers before they want to know how they're going to do it. But what you say is very true. I mean, it does start out slow, and then people do end up giving up. But if you keep at it, then yes, you're learning as you go. So if you do set that goal to do 30 videos or whatever you set in a day, each day, then you can't help but learn from it and grow from there. And eventually it does reach this point, right? Like, it's slow at the beginning. You don't have a lot of people watching, but as you grow, you start to grow faster. So, sticking it out and not waiting because you're actively doing something, but it's worth the effort and worth taking the time.
Yeah. So I had a friend the other day who came over, and she's considering another profession, and she's like, oh, I can't do what you do because I'm not smart enough. And I had to stop her. I'm like, no. It is not about being smart. I mean, sure. I mean, you have to have some brains, right, to do it, but it's more about being persistent, being consistent, and not giving up. That's all. If you have those qualities, then it's almost impossible to fail. And there are people that I know probably got less schooling than all of us put together, who are probably like making more money than all of us put together. So it's not about how smart you are. It's just like, are you going to get back up after you've been kicked down 10 times? It's more what's in here in the heart that you put into your work. That's why it's so important. Like I said, all the way in the beginning of this interview, is like, if you're not going to see this through, if you're not 100% dedicated to the topic that you're writing about and committing to, then it's not even worth it. That's my feeling.
Any thoughts? We have quite a few members I know that are totally into the writing. They'll write books. They will have finished books. Some of them might be published, some not. And if they're published, the chances of them marketing them might be small. It's a bit of confidence. There's a confidence issue there too. Any thoughts on what you'd recommend to them to get those books out there and to get people seeing those books?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of noise out there, and what I talked about here in this, like, I'm a big video person. Like, there was a time where I would be staring at the red button or the green button as I see it here on my laptop or on my desktop, and I'd be like, like, I was bad at video. I was horrible. And I had, there was a point where it took me about 5 hours to do a 7-minute video. That's how bad I was. And I was just so committed to getting better. And it's part of the commitment part. And I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it until something started to work. So there's a lot of noise out there. If one thing doesn't work, then you try something else that's obviously effective, and you're following somebody who has success with what they're telling you to do, right? There's obviously something going right. But, with that being said, there's also people writing, and they're unfortunately writing in the wrong niche. They're writing to a population that doesn't really exist, right? And they're clinging onto this idea that they just, they want to get it done, and they want to push, but sometimes it's there has to be a time where you're like, okay, is this going to really work, or should I be focusing on something that already exists, already is working? And the beautiful part about what we do as marketers is that even if a niche is very, very competitive, you can still squeeze in and find your spot and find your piece of that pie. And it's a beautiful thing, right? And I love it. And in the real world, whoever is doing what you do is your competitor. In our world, whoever is doing what we do is our partner, right? So, and that's why, if you do the right things, you network with the right people. And again, you just, you keep doing, keep practicing, keep harnessing your skills, then you can't really go wrong. But if you are publishing into something there are like 5 buyers in the world, there's got to be a point where you're like, okay, maybe I need to reset or reconsider, which is okay too. I mean, we've all published duds. I've published so many duds, both products and books, but it's like, that's part of getting kicked down and, dusting yourself off and getting back up.
Back into it. So do you have any, that's a great tip on getting into more, because you want to go where the buyers are, so it might be competitive, and you've told us, networking and getting to knowing other publishers in those competitive markets is one way to sort of ease in. Any other thoughts on, if someone's worried that they're going to be lost in all that noise, how can they get into a competitive market?
Yeah, it's really not hard. And it's like you have to make some kind of statement, and I'll tell you, okay, so I'll tell you one of the best ways to get into a market. And this has worked for me time and time again. This is a really juicy nugget. I've told this before, but if you haven't heard it, then listen up. And it's about, so the first thing you need to do is find a market with a ton of problems. So I like to let's just continue on with video marketing, right? There are so many problems that people face, like what camera to use, what editing software to use, what lighting should I use? What do I wear? There's so many questions and so many problems that people might have. And you may or may not know the answers to them. But what you do is you go through the journey yourself. You could be like, hey, you can sit in front of the camera and be like, hey, I've never done a video in my life, but I just did a video and I edited it with video editing software, or I brought it into YouTube and this is what I did and this is how I made it look like this, blah, blah, blah. Whatever your findings are, because chances are there are other people that have the same problems. So if you can come in as a total newbie, right, as somebody who has no clue on what to do, but you go through the journey yourself and you show your findings and you show your successes and you show your failures, that is that's how you do it. And I've done that. I've made a lot of money doing that. And you can do it with any topic. You just have to make sure that there are buyers in that market, and that there are people that have experienced a lot of problems in that market.
Yeah, that's great. Because people can relate to you, and then they could say, if you can do it, then someone like you can do it, then they can do it as well, right?
Ding, ding, ding.
I think one of the issues people also have with getting their book out there is, what is your goal for the book? I mean, if you're trying to publish a bunch of Kindle books, and have a chain of books, a series of books, and be a prolific writer and do short reports, that's one thing. But then if you're trying to produce this bestseller based on your life story, that's another thing. So you have to really determine what your goal is for the book and don't get caught in between. Don't start writing a little short Kindle book and have that turn into this big, bestseller that you're trying to publish. That's your life story or something. You have to focus on what your goal is and write books related to that goal. A lot of people think they have to, every book they publish has to be a masterpiece. And it's not so. Some books are for lead generation purposes. Some books are, just to get traffic to your website, or some books are to just establish yourself as an expert on a certain topic. You can even write a book to test the waters for a certain topic, put a short report out there, see if people bite on it, give away free downloads just to kind of get your feet wet. And sometimes that's more advisable to do than just waiting for that masterpiece that's going to take you 5 years because you never can get finished. So people have to stop looking at it as such a big deal. People are self-publishing all the time, and it's not a huge deal anymore to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And, also like for people who are maybe experiencing problems in getting let's say they already published a book and they don't quite have any sales. The thing that they have going for them, though, is the fact that they know how to publish. And that is huge because, like you said, Ron, people are self-publishing all the time, but there's also a huge population of people who don't have a clue on how to even go about publishing, right? Every aspect of the publishing process. They have not a clue. Even if they have a book that they finished, how do they put it on Kindle? They haven't a clue. So that's, another area of expertise that you already have if you went through the process just once, that
Yep.
you can now service. I mean, there's a lot of money in services, and just to get some income in, just knowing how to publish, you can immediately tap into your own resources, what you can do, your sweat equity, and help other people.
Right. And once you've done it, it gives you confidence and it gives you a certain power that you have to do it again and again. I like to think of it as, every new thing that you conquer and do is like an arrow in your quiver that gives you the power to make money whenever you need to. Like I'm doing right now, I'm working on an automated webinar for a client, and just going through the process and seeing how it works is not intimidating anymore. It's like, okay, that's how it is. So it's like, now I have that power. Now I can do it whenever I feel like doing it. And it's like, I was looking at, I recently threw my own event, the Warrior event. That was the first live event I ever done. Now I feel like I can do that whenever I feel like it. So every new thing you take on like that gives you a certain amount of power, with that end goal of whenever you need to make money, you could pull something out of your bag of tricks and, make it happen for yourself. And that's a certain power that gives you a lot of confidence, and it takes away a lot of stress in your life as well once you've conquered those fears.
It certainly does. And you could also, that gives you the confidence to also maybe charge more. So maybe the last time you charged only, $250 to put somebody's book up on Kindle. And we all know, right? Don't tell anyone how easy that is. But I can easily charge somebody $1,000 to put their book up and publish their book on Kindle. And it's because I have that leverage in knowing exactly what to do and how the process works, and they're hiring me as an expert. And it's just, having that confidence to say, look, yeah, I know it doesn't take much to put a book on Kindle and publish it, but, that's my expertise, and I'm going to use that to my advantage.
Yeah. I remember when I first got started on the Warrior Forum, I was building a membership site, and I was looking for a coder to set up the membership software for me. And I had bought Amember, which is a membership script. This was probably 2007 and maybe 2006 actually, or even before, might be 2005 actually. And I first met Mike Lance, and this was before Warrior Plus. He's the guy that runs Warrior Plus, the affiliate marketing system for the Warrior Forum and for other like front end offers. And he contacted me. He saw my post and he was like, I could set that up for you. I was like, all right, bet. And he set it up. He's like, all right, $300. So he takes my $300 and he pays, I think he pays a member to set it up. It might have been like an $80 setup fee that I didn't even realize you can do. And he just pocketed the rest. And he just like managed the whole process. And I was like, wow, that made a lot of sense because, you know, I got what I wanted, which was a membership site set up. And all he had to do was pass on the work. And he kind of oversaw the whole thing. And that was my first time doing it. I was like, wow, you can do that with any market because people just have an end goal of getting something accomplished. And there's people out there that would do it for you for cheap that are professionals at it. And, you know, people will be willing to pay for you if they're not resourceful enough to figure it out on their own. Hey,
exactly. And, you know, and there's a whole group of people, too, that have more money than time on their hands, right? So that person, if you portray yourself as an expert, then it's going to save them a ton of time so that they don't have, let's say they need something done. Let's say they need like a piece of content written for them, like a PDF or something like that, documentation, right? If you present yourself and you're there at the right time and you say, yep, I know how to do this. You don't even have to worry. You don't even have to direct me in what to do. I know how to do it. I got this. That is right there. Like they're going to hire you on the spot. And sure, maybe they can get the work done cheaper somewhere else, but guess what they have to do? They have to go post the job, right? They have to write out a description. They have to see all the results. They have to vet all the people. They have to take a chance on who they hire. Whereas, okay, that you're right there. You can do the work with no direction, but, you know, it's going to cost them. So, and people will pay for it. That's the beauty of knowing how to do.
People will pay just to shift the time and responsibility off of themselves onto you to get it done. And they'll gladly pay for that all day long. And then if you knock it out and do it for them, they appreciate it, and they, you know, money well spent to them.
All day long. Yeah. And then, like you said before, you have the confidence now. You can just keep doing it over and over, and then guess what happens? You get so good that you start doing it for yourself, and then you start to create assets, and you learn the whole process. And now instead of working for others, now you're working for yourself, and now you're just creating assets in your business that ultimately make you money, make you passive income, make you large spikes of income at one time, and then you do other projects, and that's kind of how it works, right?
Right. So if you wanted to start, like, I know we're going off on a kind of a tangent, but if you wanted to start a service-based business where you provided a specific service for clients, you could write a book about that service, right? Whether it be a Kindle book or a CreateSpace book, write a book about the best practices related to that service, the benefits of that service that you're offering. It could be, you know, video creation, right? Or video editing, like how to edit your video professionally in record time. Here's a book on how to do it. And you walk them through the process in that book, and all of a sudden you're the expert on that topic. And then in that book, you say, you know, I showed you exactly how the process works. This is how I do it. If you want somebody to do it for you, I'll gladly do it for you. You can reach me here. Right. Mm-hmm. And then people will start reaching out to you to get that done. And then you can have somebody like on Fiverr or one of these sites or some outsourcer to actually do the work. And you can start a whole business with that, with the book being the lead gen, the person contacting you for the service, and then passing off the work to an outsourcer or somebody a freelancer that works for you, and then pocketing the difference. So, I mean, it's just something to think about.
That's how to do it. Absolutely. I know that we're talking to a lot of writers here, and there is a huge opportunity for writers, especially in today's video world, because not everybody wants to. We're going on like almost 40 minutes here. Not everybody wants to sit and get trained and watch a video for an hour. right? There's a whole different, there's different ways that people learn. Some people learn with watching and listening. That's how I learn the best. But there's some people just don't have the time, and maybe like they read really fast and they could interpret information very quickly. So if you're only catering to people who want to watch and listen, well, you're missing like a huge segment of the market who don't want to do that. They want to read the transcript, or they want to read the summary of what we're speaking about here today, right? So that's why there's a huge opportunity for content writers right now. And I'm not talking about the kind of content writer where you're trading time for money. It's, again, having that expertise and knowing how to put together a professional resource guide together, right? That is readable, and it's pretty, and it's got bold where it's supposed to bold. It's got links where you're supposed to link. And that's the opportunity now, because, we want to film this video. We don't want to write out everything that we're talking about in this video, but there's a need for that, right? And it's not just this, it's webinars that people are doing, it's YouTube videos that people are doing, and those are your low-hanging fruit if you did want to reach out and have that be some kind of revenue source for you. If you know how to create content very, very well and very quickly, you definitely have an upper hand in this market. And guess what? It's not going to go away. There's always going to be a need for this kind of content. So the more you get better at it, the more you do, the more you hone your skills, then you're very, very marketable.
For sure.
So I wanted to maybe go back before we finish up too, going back to, you were talking about growing your audience. And so you're doing all, whether it's video, social media, whatever it happens to be. But what about people who buy your books and have no idea who you are? How do you turn them into part of your audience? How do you get them to follow you or sign up for your list or whatever it happens to be?
Yeah, it's all about what you're doing inside of your book. So if you're just writing a book, and this is, again, for books and products, same concept. If you're just writing content and you're pretty much leading people through amazing content, it could be, right? But you're just letting them read through the end and then not asking them to do something else that, I recommend that you're taking somebody from a book or a product onto your online world, right? So whether it is your YouTube channel or your Facebook group or, whatever it is, following you socially, if you're missing that part of it, then people are just going to forget about you. So, again, with the list building, and that could be added over time too. You don't have to have everything done when you publish your book, but you want to start working on probably 1, 2, 3 or 4 major components inside of your book. And this can happen over time. The first is leading people onto your list. So what are you doing for them? What are you giving somebody in exchange for their email address? That's number one. And that takes time.
Like what kind of things would you get? Like what would you put in a book that would be attractive to them?
Like the audio version, let's say, or a checklist. Something easy that they can use. It has to be something that is irresistible, that people will say, "Ooh, I really need that. Let me go and do that so I can get that from you." Okay. So it's got to be very thought out. It can't just be like, here's my free report on whatever, because that's old news. And if you're not doing something that makes you stand out and and actually provide people a ton of value, they're not going to take action. They're just not, because there's, again, all that noise out there. Number two is to have your social links, right? So having places where people can connect with you on the big five, right? Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, Instagram, and Google Plus, I think. So that. Third is you want people to take action and write you a review for your book, because if they've gotten your book, you should get some feedback from your book. And if you're not asking people for a review, they probably won't give it to you. And then lastly, it's any additional linking that you can do to something else that you might be selling, right? Whether it's more books, whether it is the coaching, whether it is another product that you have. So linking out to that and having people check you out to spend more money with you is probably the primary goal.
Yeah.
So those are the four things.
And you mentioned the book reviews, and that is something that you are going to be talking to us next week. You're going to do some free trainings, a little more formal and in-depth. Want to tell us a little bit about what people can expect when they join us next Wednesday?
Yeah, sure. Pretty much people don't buy anything these days. Well, it's been that way for a while, but now more than ever, because of social connections and things like that, they're not going to buy anything if there is no social proof. So people need that social justification, that virtual pat on the back of people saying, yeah, this is a great experience. I did it. I went through it and I recommend it. Think about your own purchasing habits and what you do, from the tiniest thing to the biggest thing. You will read reviews for almost anything, and it's really fascinating how people take advice, right, from perfect strangers, and they're saying, they're reading through the comments and the reviews, they're making a buying decision based on what other people are saying. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about, because if you don't have social proof, as in reviews for your book or testimonials for your products, real feedback from customers, it's going to be an uphill battle for you to sell much online. So think about, if you have, we're not talking about hundreds of reviews, even if you have 10, 15 reviews, those reviews stay up there all the time. We're talking about Amazon, and those reviews are physically helping your book sell day in, day out, 24/7, 365, without you having to do much. Okay? So think about if somebody who has a book that has 0 reviews versus a book that has 100 reviews, which are you going to gravitate towards looking into more? Probably the one with 100 reviews. And just at face value, that's the sad part about it. It's all about face value. Like, what's the herd doing? I want to follow the herd because that's what most people are doing, and I don't want to be left out doing something else. That's the mentality about reviews, and that's why you need them, especially in today's selling marketplace.
Yeah. And so, and you said you threw out the number 100. Like, how do you need tons, or is it just having, I've heard different schools of thought about it. Is if you have do you need thousands? Do you just need a little? What's the goal?
You need your baseline. So anybody who's just starting out shouldn't have a goal of 100 reviews. They should have a goal of 10 reviews. Like, I'm going to get 10 reviews, and then from that point, then the momentum, as we talked about earlier, like with anything, the momentum will build organically. So while you don't have to search out for 100 reviews, you search out for your goal, which could be tiny, 10 or 15. And then, that will grow and grow and grow. and then it'll be easier to get reviews because you already have this momentum building for you already. So don't get overwhelmed by the process, but it is a process that you have to focus on in order to start selling more books.
Right, because reviews are one of the main things that people look for when they decide to buy a book. They want to learn from other people's experience, what do other people think about it, especially on Amazon, because it has that really convenient, really right in your face star system for the reviews.
Yep. And unfortunately, reviews are a huge topic of discussion, and unfortunately, we're dealing with fake reviews. So, sometimes on Amazon, I'll go on and I'll see like all these reviews, and some of them don't look so real. So, and Amazon's kind of battling that right now, and that's like a whole different topic altogether, which we will also discuss on the webinar as well. Some of the updates that Amazon has made with reviews in terms of book reviews and physical product reviews. Even if you're not in the physical market space on Amazon, it's something that you should just know what's going on, especially if you do sell on Amazon. It's very important. And also you want your review getting process, you also want that to be very ethical, and you want that to go in line with Amazon terms of service as well. And we're going to be talking about that too, like the do's and the don'ts when it comes to getting reviews and what you want to avoid, and even down to the linking structure when you share your book, let's say on like social media. There are rules for that link, because if you're getting that link for your book in a specific way, that link has all kind of hidden gems inside of that link that tell Amazon a lot. Okay, so you want to get that link and use it and make sure that it's the right link, as opposed to the link that's going to reveal everything about you and what you're doing everywhere when it comes to marketing your book. So you want to be very careful with that.
Okay, all right. We are looking forward to that. I actually posted underneath the video too a link that people we'll put more in. We don't have all the full information on it, but the registration link for that training is up, so people can, if you look at the comments area, you can go and sign up and join Debbie and us next week. That'll be Wednesday. Are we doing? Wait. Yes, 7 p.m. Eastern, so 4 p.m. Pacific.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, Wednesday the 16th, 7 p.m. Eastern, New York time.
Here we go. Well,
Center of the Earth time, I call it.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Debbie. We look forward to hearing your full presentation on all of this next Wednesday. And anybody watching, definitely make sure if you like this, she's really going to show you some stuff on the screen that she can't show you here. And it's going to be a great learning experience on Wednesday. You definitely want to make sure you attend that. All right. Thank you. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.